Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. Let's start off with my schedule. This weekend, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm back home. The Funny Bone. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've added a show. We had one Saturday. We're adding a second one. It might already be up. We're adding a second one Sunday. Already added one Saturday because Friday and Saturday sold out. So we do have a 11:59 p.m. show on Saturday night. We're adding a second one Sunday. So, yeah. Then next weekend, I'm in Irvine, California for the first time, January 26th to the 28th. And then I'm in Tampa, Florida at the new Funny Bone, which is the old Improv, February 2nd through the 4th. Then I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, February 8th through the 10th. Arlington, Texas on Valentine's Day. First show sold out. We got a second one just added. Valentine's Day. Everybody should sell on Valentine's Day. And then February 16th through the 18th, I'm in Orlando, Florida at the Improv. Last weekend, I was in Jacksonville, Florida, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thanks to everybody that came out in Jacksonville and Fort Lauderdale. The new Hard Rock is dope. We had great shows. So, big talk of the week is the NFL playoffs. I clearly don't know how to pick teams because my predictions were awful last week. But let's just let's see who I want to pick this week. And if you're betting, man, I wouldn't put money on who Gary picks because I picked Philly over Tampa, wrong. Buffalo over Pittsburgh, right. Detroit over the Rams, right. Dallas over Green Bay, wrong. Miami over Kansas City, wrong. Cleveland over Houston, wrong. So what was I, 2? I won 2. I got Detroit right and Buffalo right. That was it. I did say I wanted Houston to win. I just thought Cleveland would win. But that goes to show you how important a quarterback is in the NFL, the most important position in the whole, out of all the positions in sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, quarterback is the most important position, I think. So this weekend, let me see who I'm going to predict. We will start Packers and 49ers. I'm picking the 49ers. We'll see after last week. Buccaneers, Lions, I'm picking the Lions. Chiefs and Bills, I'm picking the Bills. Ravens, Texans, I'm picking the Ravens. I just basically picked the favorite in all the home teams, which rarely happens. I really want to see Mahomes out of it. I think the Chiefs have won enough. I'd love to see Josh Allen get to an AFC title game. 49ers, I just think they're the best team in the NFL. Lions, who doesn't want the Lions to go? Let's be honest. And then Ravens and Texans, oh man, I'm telling you, that game's going to be tight. I think we'll know in the first quarter. It wouldn't surprise if Texans go down and score. Because I don't know if people know it, since C.J. Stroud, this last second half of the season, outside of the couple games he went out because of the concussion, it's hard to say a team's been playing better than the Texans outside of the Ravens. I mean, that guy's so smooth. He really is a he's a black Joe Burrow. I almost said Carson Palmer. He's a black Joe Burrow is what he is. He manipulates the pocket. He doesn't run a lot, but when he does run, you're like, oh, he can, just like Joe Burrow. He just sees the field. He makes receivers that you've never heard of look like Pro Bowl players, and he just elevates the whole team, and the whole team believes in him. So C.J. Stroud and Joe Burrow, to me, are so similar. Outside of one's black and one's white, but they both just seem cool, laid back. Nothing gets to them. They say all the right things in the media, but it's just, yeah, you could call Joe Burrow a black C.J. Stroud or C.J. Stroud a white? No, I got that backwards. I'm sorry. That was so wrong. You can call Joe Burrow a white C.J. Stroud or C.J. Stroud a black Joe Burrow. I think that's the best comparison between those two. So I think that Ravens-Texans game, I think in the first quarter, you're going to know the way that game's going to go. I mean, it would not surprise me if the Texans are up 14-0, and then Lamar's going to feel that it's going to get tight, just similar to the way Dak Prescott got behind with the Packers, and it got tight. And Dak couldn't perform. So, God, Cowboy fans, woo! Been there. Like a Bengals fan before Joe Burrow got there. Yeah. I'm not going to hop on the Stephen A. Smith bandwagon, but man, I'll tell you a cool story though about Lions and Buccaneers. There's a running back on Detroit. His name's David Montgomery. He's number 5. He came from the Chicago Bears. He was Iowa State. He's a Cincinnati kid, and anybody from my hometown that reps it, I root for. So here's an interesting story about David Montgomery. So when he was in high school, my grandfather was in the hospital, and I used to go see him all the time. He had cancer, and he didn't have a lot of time left. But every time I go to the hospital, David Montgomery's dad was one of his nurses, depending on the shift. And me and him got to talking, and come to find out, he said, "Yeah, my son plays for this high school called Mount Healthy." And I go, "Oh no way!" The high school I went to was called Talawanda High School. And so Talawanda and Mount Healthy are in the same conference. So they play each other every year in all the sports. So as he's taking care of my grandpa and we're talking, I say, "Hey, man, this football season, I'm going to find out when Mount Healthy plays Talawanda, and I'm going to make sure I go to the game." Because he took such good care of my grandpa, and me and him would just talk high school football. So I go to the game, and I'm thinking, who's your son? His son, David Montgomery, number 5, for the Detroit Lions right now, the running back. In high school, he was the quarterback, he was the punter, he was the kicker, and he was safety. Never came off the field. I think he might have been coaching the team. And here's what I remember about that game is I would always every year I would buy my high school team dinner. Like they always ask for like different restaurants and people to donate meals to teams. So every year I would pick one game and I would donate a meal to my high school, Talawanda. So I just happened to pick this game against Mount Healthy because I knew I was going to be there. So I just remember my dad. That guy. I've told enough stories about that dick. But at that point, it was cool, and I told him, I said, "Dad, I'm going to my Healthy game," and I was telling him how I buy dinner for my high school. And I don't know why my dad, he knew somebody that worked for Mount Healthy's athletic department, but he told them that I was going to buy both teams dinner. And I said, I never said that. And then I'm looking at him like, so now I've got these people leaving me messages on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff going, "That's so cool. You're buying Mount Healthy's team dinner. I go, I didn't say that. I never said that. And I'm getting these messages. And my dad was like, "Oh, yeah, I told him you might buy." I said, what? So honestly, my dad should have flipped the bill for Mount Healthy's team dinner, or he should have split it with me. So now I'm the one with the bad press. I'm the one that looks like an asshole if I don't buy this other high school team their dinner now. So I go to Talawanda, my high school first, and I asked their coach, I said, "Hey, he didn't know this, but I had a friend that he owns a bunch of Jimmy John's throughout Cincinnati." So I said, "I'm going to get Jimmy John's." You got to keep in mind, I'm buying food for like 60 kids. So he's like, "All right, I'll give you a deal on the Jimmy John's. I'll throw in some chips and stuff like that." I said, "All right, cool." So I tell the coach, we're going to get like 30 turkey and cheese, 30 ham and cheese. Just make it real simple. You put them in a big box. The guys come to grab the sandwich, grab the chips. Simple. Talawanda's coach was like, no. We need something somewhat healthy, and we also like for them to, I don't know, whatever it was. So anyways, I end up getting dinner at a place called The Roses, and the Talawanda had spaghetti and salad is what they had for their team dinner. So I already committed to buying Jimmy John's. So now I'm sitting here. So I was like, all right, well, I'll give the Jimmy John's to Mount Healthy. So I give Mount Healthy the Jimmy John's. So their coach didn't say a word. He was like, thank you. They grabbed the sandwiches and the chips, fed the whole team of Mount Healthy. And wouldn't you know it, Mount Healthy beat the shit out of Wanda. So the coach that wanted the healthy meal didn't help because they got stomped. And Mount Healthy, whose coach is like, I don't care. We appreciate the food. His team stomped Wanda. And I said, oh my God, I guess there's not much to the spaghetti and salad over the Jimmy John's, if you look at it that way. But to see from that day on, I've definitely followed David Montgomery's career from afar because of his dad. And even when he went to Iowa State, and then and now he got drafted by he got drafted by the Bears, and now he's with Detroit. It's just been a cool thing to see from afar. Always good to see Cincinnati kids do well. So now the Bengals ain't in the playoffs. I'm probably rooting for the Lions, honestly, because of David Montgomery. And the Lions are definitely like the NFC's version of the Bengals, a fan base that just deserves it, been down for a while, and hopefully they can, do something. But it's going to be a tough task to take out the 49ers, though. But I got the 49ers and Lions this weekend is who I'm picking. So let's hope I do better than last week. Other news in my personal life, I told you guys I had a flip house in Atlanta, and I went there a month ago, and we found out we had a squatter. Well, we go there. We've demolished a house this week, and we go there to make sure the house is clear, and as we're clearing it out, the squatter showed up. I was already gone. I wasn't there, but my other guys, Gene and Kelly, my partners in this, they got it. They got the squatter walking up. They got a video of him. They're like, you the squatter? He goes, nah. He goes, nah, I got the keys from my friend. They go, who's your friend? He goes, Tony. They go, who's Tony? He goes, you don't know Tony? You don't know Tony? Tony gave me the keys. They go, nah, Tony don't live here. So we had to get him out of there. He got all his stuff. What Gene told me was when we went, he had the one bed. I guess he had a second bed now. I said, dang. He said he was like a landlord for the squatters. My guess is they were running some illegal activity, a.k.a. hooker type stuff was going on there. That's the only thing I can guess, because there was makeup and female hygiene items and things like that when we went. So I got no proof of that, but that would be my guess. If you're going to have me guess what was going on in my house. But now we got the house is demolished, and now we can start building it up. And, I'll keep you guys abreast. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, we're showing the whole process of how I bought the house to tearing it down to now rebuilding it back up. And we'll see how it turns out, and hopefully we'll turn a profit. And it's my first time getting into this, and I got into it by chance, but I'm enjoying the process of all this. I thought it was just going to be a quick flip house. I know it was going to be a whole tear down and then build it back up from the ground up. But whoever the squatter is, hope you find a new home. It's just not going to be there. The best we got like this. Tony. You don't know Tony? What do you mean you don't know Tony? So, yeah, we got that. So, what's it been? 2 weeks since the Katt interview, and we're still talking about it. I've never seen anything last this long. Here's a couple things that I've noticed since that interview. There's a couple things. One, it seems like every time my name comes up in an interview, the interviewer never keeps the conversation going. And it's weird. Like, so when Katt brought me up to Shannon Sharp, Shannon just looked at him. And then the conversation didn't, expand. Like, why would you say that about Gary or anything like this? Shannon literally looked at him and went, and just kept it moving. I was like, dang, man, would you expand? Why I haven't crossed over, Shannon? And then about 6-7 years ago, I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and the club owner said, hey, Judd Apatow's here. He's getting ready for Bonnaroo. He wants to do a guest set before you go up. I said, yeah, of course. I had never met Judd Apatow. He comes to the show. We're at Zany's. We're at a club. He's going to do Bonnaroo in front of 1,000. He just want to, prep for his set. he went up, did like 15 minutes, did fine, was good. And then I went up, and I was in the pocket that night, man. And granted, a lot of it had to do because I knew Judd Apatow was watching. His manager, Jimmy Miller, was watching. So I wasn't going up there to mess around. I was going up there like this was my special. And so I go up, did my thing, and afterwards, Judd was like, we was talking, and sorry, I'm not texting. I am just giving a note so I don't forget this. So we were talking afterwards, and it was good. And then he goes on Joe Rogan's podcast about 6 months later, and he tells Joe Rogan, he goes, "Hey, you ever heard of Gary Owen?" And Joe Rogan goes, that's the white guy that does the black stuff, right? And he goes, yeah. He goes, so I go there. I go to Nashville. He goes, I'm getting ready for my set at Bonnaroo, and I went up, and it was good. It was fine, nothing special. He goes, then he goes up, and he goes, I've never heard louder laughs in a comedy club. I've never heard louder laughs. He said he has sustained 20 minutes where he was killing the audience. And then he had to stop because somebody would have died. He said he toned it down. He goes, and then I went in the back, and I goes, I want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. And he goes, I'm really listening to his material. And I was like, dang, his material's awesome. He goes, and he goes, I've never heard louder laughs. He goes, and Judd Apatow goes, I don't know if I'm in the same business as this guy. Is this what we're doing? And then Joe Rogan just went another direction with the conversation. So I just went, so Judd Apatow went up there and just said, the funniest guy I've ever seen at a comedy club was Gary Owen. The loudest laugh I've ever heard was Gary Owen. And the conversation just never went anywhere. It just, it was gone with 30 seconds. Katt Williams, if what I'm saying isn't true, how come Gary Owen hasn't crossed over and he's been doing stand-up for 25 years and he's white? Silence. Just like, why did this happen? And then my name came up in every time your name comes up in a podcast, people are going to send it to you. So then my name came up in another podcast. Theo Vaughn was on Shane Gillis and somebody else's podcast, and they were talking about all the people that got it in the Katt interview. And they said, you know who didn't get it? Gary Owen. Yeah, he didn't talk bad about Gary. And they just moved on to another subject. Now, what the hell? Why doesn't anybody expand on this when people bring me up? It's the oddest thing. And what I realize is, like, there is such a huge divide between black and white comedians and how they follow each other. That's what I've learned in the last 2 weeks. One thing I've learned is Katt is polarizing. So what he says, that transcends. But some of the most iconic things that have happened in black comedy, white comedians have no idea. I kind of knew it when I went on Theo Vaughn's podcast about 5-6 years ago, and he asked me, have I ever met Katt Williams? And I just was like, what? And I was like, one, I've done a movie with him. Two, how do you not know I know that guy? Or any, I told him, I told Theo, I know every black comedian. So any black comedian, I know him that does the urban scene at all. I wouldn't say I don't know. I know Gerard Carmichael, but I don't know him. You know, I don't think I've ever met him. So it's just it's such a huge divide because a couple things. One thing that got me too was like when Katt said Joe Rogan he's pumped 6 comedians and none of them are funny. None of those 6 ever addressed it. I want to know who the 6 are. I think we have an idea who they are, but I'm not going to throw into the bus until I know, because there's been a lot of comedians on Joe's podcast. So I never saw the people that normally go on Joe's podcast really address who the 6 are. They always acted like they were naive to it. So and this isn't throwing people on the bus. I like these guys. You got Brennan Schaub, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Andrew Schultz, Ari Shaffir. I'm trying to think. Theo Vaughn. I'm trying to think. There's got to be others, but none of those guys ever addressed like who were the 6. Was he talking about me, and why was he talking about me? It was almost like they didn't want the smoke. from Katt. And I could be wrong, but I watched every podcast I could about the interview, and nobody brought it up. Like, what's he talking? I think Brendan did a little bit. He goes, "Oh, he's not talking about me. I didn't go on Joe's to be a comedian. I go on there as a UFC analyst." And I was thinking, I think you went on there as a comedian myself. So yeah, I found that interesting. But this is why I know there's such a divide in white and black comedy. So Joe Rogan, before Katt's interview, he had somebody on there talking about, you ever seen the Katt interview where he went off on a radio host and Joe was like, no. And the Katt and Wanda Smith back and forth is iconic. And the fact that I think black comics are very aware of what goes on in mainstream comedy. They almost have to be. And I think white comics, sometimes they are just clueless as to what goes on in black comedy and who's doing what. And the fact that Joe Rogan had never heard of the Katt Williams and Wanda Smith interaction in the radio show, I went, oh my God. How do you not know that? It's almost like you don't know the story behind Bernie Mac saying, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. That whole story from Def Jam. If you've never heard that story. There's just so many iconic, it's almost like iconic moments in black comedy that the mainstream comics have no clue. Just the fact that Theo Von said, if I've ever met Katt Williams, I went, what? And this was 6 years ago. I go, I'm still taken back. So if you don't know the story of Katt and Wanda Smith, and if you haven't, look it up, Google it. It's unbelievable. And we've gotten to know the whole story behind it. Oh shit. We've got the whole story behind it with, I saw Willie D Live had a follow-up with Katt Williams, and I knew when I saw it, I knew that was recorded before the Shannon Sharp one. But Red Grant was at the Atlanta Comedy Theater, and Katt went up to the radio station with Red just to help him out, just to support his friend and everything. And the story Katt told, and you have to believe it because his story doesn't change. A lie kind of changes a little bit. Katt's story is either Katt's lying or he's the greatest liar in the history of liars because he remembers every detail of this. He goes, I didn't want to go on. Wanda was like, you just won an Emmy for ATL, and we just want to give you your flowers while you're here. And I guess Katt felt ambushed because when he went on there, she never brought up ATL, and Wanda started going in on him. And Katt's the wrong person to go in on. All you got to do is watch Wildin' Out. And that's all you got to watch. I think Katt is he's the best freestyle rapper that Wildin' Out's ever had as far as comedians go. I mean, he can just go. And you know it's off the top of the head because he's addressing what you say to him. It's going back and forth. So Wanda goes going in and Katt just, woo. She goes, she's never been to prison. Katt's like, I've never been to prison, ma'am. I've been to jail. That's two different things. 19 arrests, no convictions. And then she said, like, Katt had a weave. And he goes, this is all my hair. He goes, you can't run your gnarly fingers through it. He started talking about how cheap her jewelry was. He said, can you cook? And Wanda Smith said, I cook broccoli. Katt went, yeah, hot water, boil it. Went ham on that. And then everything after that got weird because Wanda's husband drew a gun on Katt that night when he tried to show up at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. And then Wanda went on. She went up the next week on the radio in Atlanta, and she was like, I didn't want to go there with him. I was so taken back. That's not where I wanted the interview to go. And that was, to me, that seemed like a cop-out. It seems like she was trying to convince herself that she just got roasted. And it sucks as a comedian, man. If you get roasted like live on the air like that sucks. But you just got to keep it moving. But you can't be addressing it. The best you do is that, look, I got roasted. I'm going to take this L and keep it moving. Muhammad Ali lost some fights. Lennox Lewis lost some fights. Hey, I took the L on that one. Katt got me. That's all you can do is laugh about it. But when she went on there and tried to almost like become a victim and all that other stuff, and I forgot that her husband drew a gun on Katt, I was like, that's just too far. I mean, you got roasted. That you can't go to your husband, you can't go to your wife and say, hey, defend me on this. This is what we do. And if you get roasted, you see him that night, you just say, yo, you got me. And you just keep it moving. I mean, it's happened all. I remember seeing Ralphie May back in the day. Rest in peace, Ralphie May. But he went on some show. It was called Roast Battle or something. He got roasted by some dude I had never heard of. And I was like, I haven't heard of since. But he got Ralphie on that day. I remember Kill Tony. Donnell Rollins went on there. And some guy went up and kind of roasted Donnell a little bit. And Donnell didn't come back at him. I don't know, Donnell wasn't mentally ready or you're just stuck. But when somebody gets you, here's the hardest part about whether it's live, on the radio, or whatever. When you start getting roasted as a comedian, when the crowd or the few people in the room aren't with you, it's hard to change the energy in the room. It's damn near impossible. So, like, take the Katt thing, for instance. It was hard for Wanda to come back because she had to come back with some money because you had Red laughing and you had her co-host, Frank Ski, laughing. So it was like everyone was cracking up at Katt, and Wanda was like everything she was hitting was kind of dying. And so it was like it's hard to get it back. When I saw Kill Tony and I saw Donnell Rollins get roasted by this dude, Donnell just, I don't know. I don't think he was mentally ready. And then when the crowd was going, oh, Donnell was like, it was almost hard to get him back. That's the sucky part about getting roasted, man. I'm trying to think if I ever just been roasted on stage. I don't think so. Like, I'd say when we used to do the Shaq tour, we used to the first year we did it, it was me, D. Ray Davis, Michael Blackson, Capone, and Corey Holcomb. And the lineup was D. Ray hosted. It started Capone, Michael Blackson, me, then Corey. And then they switched it halfway through. They had Michael go up first, and then Capone, and then me, and then Corey. The second time we took the tour out, year 2, I went from on it to hosting. So I was hosting, and we had Robert Powell, we had Capone, Tony Roberts, and Corey. And Tony went up before Capone, and Capone went up, and then Corey went up. And then Finesse Mitchell. And Finesse Mitchell was on. And then LeVar Walker was on some shows. Damn, that was a lot of people. I think LeVar and Robert was just doing like 5 to 10 to start the show out. And then, then it went Finesse, Tony, Capone, Corey. That was the lineup. Those are the guys doing 20, 25 minutes. But what I remember, we'd always end the show, we'd roast battle each other, right? And, LeVar Walker was really good at roasting people off the top of his head. Tony Roberts was really good at roasting people. And I'll just say, like, Finesse would do a stock joke. I can't remember what it was, but it was stock. But the way he would do it, he'd do the stock joke and then, like, drop the mic like, boom, I'm out. Brilliance. And the crowd would laugh. And I remember thinking, it's a stock joke. This crowd just doesn't know it. But it really wasn't like you roasted somebody, like roast them off the top of your head. It was a stock joke. I wish I could remember what it was. It was, I can't remember. But I just know it was a stock joke. And Finesse would, like, walk away like, boom. I always thought that was like, every now and then, somebody in that roast battle would do a stock joke. And as comedians, we know the stock jokes, or we know the jokes that ain't yours. But I'd never say anything on stage, but I'd be thinking we was up there. I'd be like, that's not your shit. Or, ooh, somebody Googled something. But it wasn't there. I just remember Finesse would do it every night. We'd roast. It was some stock shit. Man, I can't remember what it was. It was that stock. I don't remember it. But I remember he used to just like, boom, and the crowd would be going nuts. I'm like, what's that? You almost want to scold the crowd. You're like, that's not his joke. That's not his joke. That's just a joke that's been around forever. It's literally like one of those jokes where if you ever comedians say, like, if you got somebody loud in the audience talking, sometimes your comedian goes, hey, man, I don't go to your job and interrupt. I just let you serve the fries and keep it moving. Or I just let you, put them fries in the grease, keep moving. Almost like they work at McDonald's or something. That's like a stock joke I've heard in various forms. I don't smack the burger out of your hand at your job, do I? Something like that. It's like, that's stock. For those people who don't know what a stock joke is. So anyways, yeah, so who knows? I'll probably be talking about Katt's interviews some more next week. This thing is just a gift that keeps giving. So I did do Shaq's podcast this week. It's out right now. Let me give the proper. Let me give his podcast out. If you had me on, I want to make sure I got you right. Give the right name to it. The Big Podcast with Shaq. So he just got it going. It's only been around like 3 weeks. He had Udonis Haslam. He's had the boxing champ, Alicia Baumgardner, and I don't think he had anybody. But anyways, Shaq's people called, and I was like, yeah, of course I want to do it. You can't say no to Shaq. So they flew me down to Atlanta. They filmed it at his house. Here's the bad part about going to Shaq's house, by the way. So since my divorce, I've been, quote unquote, living below my means. Been living in apartments, studio apartments, stayed at a friend's house for a little bit. Just because you're trying to navigate through stuff and get on your feet and you're paying all this stuff. So I finally built a house, moved into it. I'm just getting in it this week. Haven't officially moved in. We finally closed, got into the house, and I'm all excited, man. I'm really excited about my house. It's beautiful. It's everything I want it. And then I fly to Atlanta. We filmed the podcast at Shaq's house. And I've been to Shaq's house in Orlando, and that one was really nice. And then I go this compound in Atlanta, and I was like, this is the wrong house to be in before you move into a house. Because now I'm looking at my house like it's a piece of shit. I got lost. There's been 2 houses in my life that I got lost in. Shaq's house in Atlanta and Quincy Jones' house. Those are the 2 houses I've been in that I could not find my way out. I was like, and Shaq's, I've known the guy for so many years, but I remember sitting there and he was like, I want to say hi to his mom. And he goes, yeah, Gary, come upstairs. So then we go upstairs. And it's funny about Shaq. He's always got these massive homes, as he should. But he always likes to hang out in the kitchen at the bar. The little island in the kitchen. I don't ever remember seeing Shaq sit on a couch, go to his room and hang out, go to, I don't know, an entertainment area. He's always sitting right there in the kitchen. And then we went up there and he said, hey, man, come stay for lunch. It's like, all right. Still had the same chef that he's had. If you go to YouTube, you can look up, if you type in Gary Owen Shaq, me and his chef did a couple funny sketches. When I had the TV show with Shaq back in 2012, we had a couple funny sketches we did together where I was talking about, I was in Shaq's kitchen and I was like, yeah, I'm at Shaq's house, and Shaq told me when I come to his house, my house is his house. So I'm gonna introduce you to his chef, and the chef's not talking to me. And I go, Chef, can I get roasted duck and a mango salsa? He goes, fuck off. And I go, all right. And then I go get some cereal from Frosted Flakes, and I go to the fridge, and the guy goes, hey, the fuck you doing? And I was like, I'm getting some milk. He goes, nah. And he closed the fridge, and I was like, guess I'll eat it dry. It's just a funny sketch. But he's got the same chef that he had in Orlando. He's got him in Atlanta. So he's cooking food up, and we're just cutting it up. So then I'm leaving, and Shaq's doing a photo shoot with his mom for something. And I'm walking. I thought I went through the right door. I went to the wrong door. Now I was looking at some trophy case of Shaq's like MVP, his SBs, his NBA title trophies. So it's kind of interesting. I'm just looking at it. And then I go through another door, and I'm in Shaq's closet, I guess. And then Shaq's like trying on these outfits, and I go, I don't know how to get out of here. So then they tell me, go downstairs, make a right. I ended up in a bathroom. I don't know whose bathroom it was. I was downstairs in some bathroom. I go, okay. Then I end up in this side room where Shaq always adores. He's got this huge bed with the big Superman logo on top. So then I go downstairs and I see the bed and I go, wait a minute. I saw this bed on the internet and I thought this was in his bedroom. And then I was like, and then somebody goes, what are you trying to do, Gary? I was like, I'm trying to get out of here. It's like, okay. I go, is this Shaq's bedroom? They was like, no, he just brought the bed over from Orlando and put it down here. I was like, oh, I guess he has another bed. But it's weird. As a dude, you see a bed at Shaq's house the size of this bed. I've never seen a bed this big in my life. Probably could sleep 10 comfortably. As a guy, you start immediately going to freaky shit. Like, man, you could have one hell of a menage a trois in this bed. You could have a menage a trois and everybody could sleep separately. You wouldn't have to even touch each other when you go to bed. I think only guys think like that. But I finally got out of the house, figured it out. But, yeah, just shouts out to Shaq and the big podcast with Shaq. Check it out. I'm on this week's episode. It's pretty funny. I don't know, Shaq needed me to help him roast Barkley, but I turned the tables and kind of roasted Shaq. Well, it kind of roasted Barkley a little bit, but we'll see if they air that because I got a little dark. But it was funny. We were reminiscing about we had a TV show together, and let me know I got fired. I got fired from the TV show. To this day I don't know why I got fired, but I did get fired. But I told Shaq, hey man, you fired me from that show Upload. All right, I said, I got fired. He goes, no. I let you go because I knew the show was on its way to failing. So I let you go before we got canceled, which he's not lying because I did the first season, and they only made it halfway through the second season. They canceled it. So whether Shaq's lying or not, he's going to make you feel good about it. So, yeah, it was always cool to catch up to Shaq and get lost in his house. And I was just like, and then I came back home and went to my house for the first night, and I go, man, this is a really big house. Not as big as Shaq's, but it's still big. I mean, he had a tree house. I've never seen a tree house. It was huge. I wanted to live in a tree house. And then he had like another house behind that, and probably I was just like, it was a lot. It was just a lot. A lot of house, but he's a big dude. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, it was always good to catch up to Shaq. Always good to catch up with Shaq. I tell you what though, man, I'm so looking forward to this weekend in Cincinnati. I don't know. It's always good to come home, man. And I run into so many old friends, classmates. That's the cool thing about going home to perform. It's always like it's like a big class reunion, and it's funny because people come up and I don't know who they are. So just so you know, if you see me this weekend in Cincinnati, and if I do this, oh yeah, I'm probably lying. I probably don't remember you. I've noticed that about myself when somebody comes up, hey man, you remember me? You were a senior and I was a freshman in high school, man, and my sister and her brother, he used to cut your hair. Oh yeah, you cut my hair. So if you ever hear me go, yeah, I'm lying. I don't know who you are. And I guarantee it's going to happen a couple times this weekend. Somebody's going to come up. They're going to tell me a story of some interaction we had at some point in my life, and I won't have a freaking clue. But I'm going to lie. I never just be like, I don't know. It's just easier because then they feel good about it. So anybody watches the podcast, if you get this out of me, yeah, lying. Yeah. It's 7. Yeah. 6. It's 6 yeahs. You get that? I'm lying. I have no idea who you are. So, all right. Well, let me just recap. Let me recap my schedule and my picks this week. This weekend, obviously, I'm in Cincinnati. Next weekend, I'm in Irvine. First week in February, I'm in Tampa. February 8th through the 10th. Super Bowl weekend, I'm in Charlotte. Valentine's Day, I'm in Arlington, Texas. And February 16th to 18th, I'm in Orlando, Florida. So that's my schedule. And let's recap my picks. Baltimore over Houston, even though, don't be surprised if it's 14-0 in the first quarter, Houston drive down and scores right away. That could be dangerous. Lamar hasn't played good from behind in the playoffs yet, and we don't need that screw getting tightened right off the bat. If I'm Baltimore, I say I want the ball first. That's what I say. If I'm in the toss, I want the ball first. I don't risk being down 7-0 right off the bat. Green Bay, San Francisco, picking San Francisco. Tampa, Detroit, picking Detroit. Kansas City, Buffalo, I'm picking Buffalo. Man, it'd be great if Allen or Lamar got into the Super Bowl. But you also got the Black Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud over there. It'd be cool to see Detroit with that hapless fan base get to the Super Bowl. Or San Francisco. Either one. So what do we got? We got 2 teams that have never been to the Super Bowl, Houston and Detroit. And we got 3 teams that have never won it, Buffalo. So not bad. There's 8 teams left. And we got 3 looking for that first title, hang that first banner up. So we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be good. Yeah. So anyways, what we learned this week, folks. White comedy does not follow black comedy. That's clear. And you know why else I know that? Is because when I did Think Like a Man, and Think Like a Man 2 especially, I thought I was going to get a bunch of meetings and stuff. And I remember I met with the lady. This lady worked on Ted, the Mark Wahlberg movie. And she was telling me about it before it came out. I'm in her office, and she's like, yeah, we got this movie with Mark Wahlberg, and it's called, hold on, let me see. I want to make sure, was that after Think Like a Man 1 or Think Like a Man 2? IMDb. Let me look this up real quick. Man, was she called this? Yeah, Ted, 2012. So this is after the first Think Like a Man came out. And she was like, yeah, we're getting ready to release this movie with Mark Wahlberg. And I was like, I was looking at her like, it's a bear that talks? She goes, yeah, but it's so dark, Gary. It's the comedy's so dark. And then she goes, I heard you was just in a movie yourself. And I was like, you didn't see it? So I just assumed I got this meeting because she saw Think Like a Man and wanted to see me. It was my reps that got me the meeting. And I went, oh, it's the #1 movie in the country. And I was like, and she never went and saw it. And I just went, oh, there's such a divide between black and white Hollywood and black and white comedy. And I've really realized it the past couple weeks. But you also realize there are those comedians or people that transcend and get everybody's attention. And that's what Katt did with that interview 2 weeks ago, because we're still talking about it, and I'm still talking about my podcast. And if you get on here and make a comment saying, you're just milking this, no, it's still interesting, and people are still listening, and people still want to hear it, and it's funny. So that's why I'm still talking about it. All right? So, all right, y'all. I will see you guys next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.